We're all set, Mr. Mayor. It's recording.
Great, thank you. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. Morning, everyone. I'll acknowledge that all board members are present with the exception of Larry Williams. And with that, I will move to Joe Barry for a report of the secretary. Morning, Joe.
Good morning. If we could accept the minutes first.
Skipped right over that one.
So
Let's do that. We have a second?
Second.
Great. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Carried. Okay, thanks, Joe. Back to you.
You're welcome. I have a couple of items to note. The new schedule that we discussed last meeting was sent out separately to everyone, and then again with this package of reports. So everyone should have the 2021 schedule. Another twist on that, we inadvertently sent out WebEx invites for 2021 that are not lined up appropriately. So you can delete those if they're showing up on your Outlooks, and we will send new WebEx invites per meeting. That's my understanding of how we're going to do it. And finally, in response to a question by Mr. Merrihew at the last meeting, I did circle back to our insurance agent, and they informed me that the insurance companies, that there are no companies presently that will write a multi-year policy on the director and officer's liability. And that completes my report.
Okay, thanks, Joe.
You're welcome.
All right, next we will move to our report of the JSCB Phase 2 Program Manager. Chris, good morning. I'll pull up your report as you're getting started here.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Good snowy morning, I guess, but we missed this one. That's good.
Yeah, looks like Binghamton's got their hands full.
They do. So I wanted to give you some updates this morning. The report that you have in front of you, have two documents. You should have anyway. This document here that's displayed on the screen, and then a separate budget document. But just to give you an update on where we are with procurement, the Fowler Interior package, we made a selection on alternates there, and we have a letter of intent that's been generated for that. We presented, moves that project forward. Where our letter of intent was issued there, the contract will be issued following the receipt of insurance utilization plans, and our plan there is to start to develop middle and the documentation portion of that now, and then begin the work in the spring once the break. And then Corcoran site package, we anticipate taking bids on that probably in February. We did get SED approvals on the addendum we received SED addendum on the Nottingham additional work package that we put in. The Corcoran one. We're still waiting to get official response from them, but anticipate that we would get that shortly and receive bids probably in February on that. The Nottingham, as I said, the Nottingham one, we did receive approval on that one. We'll be moving forward with the bid over there, anticipating in January, February. Same thing with the Henniger kitchen equipment. We don't have an exact date on that, but anticipate getting the bid package put together here in the first quarter and get that out to bid. Corcoran site package was prepared and is being prepared to be submitted to SED for approval. And then formulation of change orders is ongoing, and progressive submission of change orders to the state for approval to enable us to then move into filing final cost reports for several of the T1 buildings. Under building budget modifications, I know we've talked about this last month a little bit. There was an update, and I wanted to go a little bit deeper discussion on that today. We're not seeking action today from the board, but we will be seeking action at next month's meeting from both the school board, Syracuse City School Board, and from JSCB to make changes to building budget modifications for both T1 and the T2 buildings. So I'm going to speak to that for a minute, and I believe you have as I said, I think it was an alternate document that was presented for you to reference during this discussion. But as you recall, we've done this multiple times. Actually, I think 6 times. This will be the 7th, and it's a progressive process of us analyzing where we are with the projects at the moment, what the balance is remaining for funds available for that building, and then looking forward so that we can continue to adjust building budgets to enable us to do additional work on projects that are in construction currently. And that we do that because the alternative option to that would be is if we don't move the funds and reallocate things, you don't lose the money. It's just the money would go back into debt service. And the intent from the beginning has been to try and maximize the work that we can do at all of the buildings. So as I said, we've done this multiple times before. The document you have there kind of gives you the chronology of what we've done and when we've done it. And then want to talk to you today about what we're going to be seeking for next month. So we are going to fundamentally, we're working to make these reallocations to increase budgets at 2 buildings, Nottingham and Fowler. And I'm going to speak a little bit about the why to each. At Nottingham, we had alternates that we had bid at the time when we originally bid the project that we had not accepted. We said all along that if opportunity permitted, those were very meaningful alternate work. It was work to do glass block replacement that's in the classrooms that will provide a lot more natural light in those spaces. And then the other component was the locker room renovation over there is in need of renovation, has been in need of renovation for a while. And so those were prioritized. The other reason we're looking at Nottingham was because the other high schools, and for the most part, the other buildings, we were able to make award of alternates, and at Nottingham we weren't. So that was kind of why we had kept our focus on that, and then combined with the fact that Nottingham has capacity with respect to MCA to perform that work. And that project was a multi-phase project, meaning that we have the schedule capacity as well to take on this additional work. So that was the one at Nottingham. Fowler was the other budget that we'd like to increase. Same type of logic to that one, but I'll speak again more specifically to that one. If we increase the budget at Fowler, it enables us to do both the pool renovation and the team room renovation, which were 2 high priority items that we'd like to get done. We bid them as an alternate with the interiors package. So the work is designed, the work is approved. The ability to increase that budget would allow us to do both of those. We also have the MCA capacity at Fowler to accommodate that work. The budgets that would be decreased to, obviously, to allow those increases at Fowler and Nottingham would be at Bellevue, Grant, and Blodgett. And the reasoning for looking at those 3 buildings is that those projects are, for all practical purposes, substantially complete. We've reconciled the cost at those buildings, and this is really kind of a true up to saying, okay, here's our cost to date. We have an understanding of what our final cost report would be to the state. How can we then take those, take the funds that are remaining there and apply that forward to a project where it would fit? The other 2 decreases are at Corcoran and Henniger. At Corcoran, we were fortunate at Corcoran, received good bids at Corcoran and had some bid day savings. As I stated previously, we have already accepted all of the alternates at Corcoran, and we're also going to be bidding a site package at Corcoran. So the funds that we're proposing to remove or decrease the Corcoran building budget are a result of that. So it was a bid day savings, and we've already completed all the work that we had set out to, plus the alternates. At Henniger, as you know, we're under construction at Henniger as well. But once again, all the work that we had planned for Henniger has been awarded, and we were able to award as part of that initial award to them. And there's a slightly different component with Henniger as to why we're looking to take some funds out of there. If you recall, which if your memory's good, but mine isn't, and back when we had, it was in the fall of 19 when we amendment to this, when we had put the revised comprehensive plan into the comptroller, we had been carrying an allowance, if you will, or a hold, which was the funds that resulted from going from 291 to 300. The comptroller said, we need you to allocate all of that to a building. We don't want unallocated funds sitting in a hole. So we allocated that to 3 different locations, to Clary, to Danforth, and to Henniger. And we did not have that full amount of work developed at the time for Henniger. So, but we put it there as a placeholder. So it's kind of a right sizing of that. That's why we'd be proposing to take some money out of Henniger and put that forward. So I kind of said a lot there in terms of where we're increasing and where we're decreasing and why. I want to pause there and just ask if there's questions.
Hey, Chris, this is Chuck. So you talked about kind of truing up some of the projects, but Ed Smith and Huntington didn't make that list. Is that because we're not as far along, or are we exactly on budget, or?
Yeah, we didn't see the savings there yet with those 2. But the others, we saw an opportunity there to move some funds out.
And Chris, I appreciate what you said about the bids coming in good, but when I'm listening to the dollar amounts, and I know that certain pieces of it we had to allocate, couldn't leave it hanging out there, okay? But some of the other pieces, how did we come in so over budget that now we're decreasing and moving?
Make sure I understand the question. We did some of the majority of the bids that we took, we were right there, or in many cases a little bit over, and we had to make some allocations to increase some of those budgets along the way, more so to right size the construction contingency. And then as the job progresses, we monitor how the job went and how much of that contingency we actually needed or was realized. And then we make the adjustment from there, depending on how it went. But I'm not sure did I answer your question?
Not really, but keep going.
No, it's okay. Help me with just.
No, I'm saying you can keep going with your presentation. You didn't really answer it because I'm just trying to, because if I budgeted my life the way the JSCB school board is budgeting their money, I'd probably have me a problem. So.
Okay. Well, as part of that budgeting process, obviously at the onset of a job, we have to have conservative budgets for both the construction portion and the incidental portion. We have to have those at a level that we think that, we're worst case that we might need. So as we move forward, we're constantly evaluating that and understanding if we think there's an exposure or if we think we're going to need the funds that are there. And that's why we do the progressive moves. And I think it actually it's a good thing, because if we stayed static and we didn't plan to take those funds and move them forward, then it wouldn't serve to provide you the brick and mortar component of being able to do more work. So it is a progressive process, and it's one that we've got to kind of be continually looking down the road of saying, okay, where do we think that we might have some savings, and at the same time scheduling to make sure that we've identified alternates on future bids that would give us the ability to do that. And in some cases, some of these moves, although they're high dollar, certainly, if we're at a building where we do not have any work that's been submitted and approved to the state, in order to use that additional funds, we'd have to go back, develop a design, submit it to the state, and then bid work. And at some point, it becomes not efficient to spend additional monies doing that, where you could just take the whole sum and apply it to work that's already been designed, already been approved, and can be put right into place. So there's an efficiency to that. Obviously that there's an incidental cost to starting over again, if you will, with a new design on something. And I know that that's a little bit of a. People will look at that and say, okay, but we have it. Why can't we just spend it here? And I wish we could in some cases, but the process that you have to go through to go and seek that approval and go through the procurement, you're going to spend some money to do that. So we're trying to just be as efficient as we can with those moves. Does that help?
Yes.
Okay. Other questions on what we're doing and the moves and the why?
Chris, Mayor, this might be more for you, but as we had a conversation about essentially because of interest rates refinancing our debt, and there would be a savings there. My understanding is that savings had to be utilized by the projects. It couldn't be utilized for other purposes. So at what point it seems as though there may be an opportunity to get more work done or other projects done. How does that play into this conversation as well? Or maybe what's the timing of that is part of the question as well.
I can speak to kind of the timing piece, and if you'd like, Mayor. We would anticipate that we'd probably be back to you maybe about a year from now, because we have we have the summer of 22, and we've actually started to kind of ID some things that we would like to do if funds permit. As part of that, I mean, that thinking ahead, I mean, we've compiled a list. I know we have a list of stuff at Henniger. And so I would anticipate that we're back to you probably a year from now to do this again and right size that again and look and see if there's other opportunities. But in between now and then, yes, we're studying that. We're looking at
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, I'll defer to the team if they want to add in, but I think that's kind of related to Helen's question that makes JSCB unique and different than how we might manage other funds, because the whole idea is to maximize the value and put it into the buildings, and depending on where we are through the course of the phases in the projects, it's we need to keep our funds in the places where they're most likely be able to be used on buildings. You can't have money sitting on the sidelines. So I think it's a fluid, dynamic process where we're constantly trying to, again, maximize that value. But Donna, did you
Can I ask
want
a
to?
quick question? I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I can help you. I can help you out with that answer, Mayor. The legislation clearly states that any savings that we will realize from the refunding, those savings will go to the district, and the district has to use them for capital projects. Okay, we cannot use it for the JSCB. All right, because at the current level of we've already borrowed all the money that we need. We cannot spend over $300 million on our current projects. So we've already budgeted all of our money to spend that $300 million. We can't go over that. So it is to be used for future capital projects at the district. We can't use it at JSCB right now.
Understood.
Does that answer your question, Chuck?
Yeah, it wasn't the answer I wanted, but it answered.
I know.
Helen, you good, or did you have another follow-up question?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
All right. Just to jump back into monthly report, the last item in that first box in the procurement was just Corcoran and Henniger there. Like I said, we'll continue to identify and prioritize items for the future as we get there. Under construction update, just Blodgett, Grant, Huntington, and Ed Smith. I've kind of combined those together this month because they're all pretty much in the same status. We're dialing those down, and hope is that within the next couple months here that we have final pay-ups for each of those buildings. Is what we're hoping. We're getting very, very close on those. On Bellevue, we are closed out on that one, so I'm happy to. We don't have the final cost report submitted, but we have final paid. The general contractor and the automation contractor have been paid. Fowler's advancing well. The finishing is underway over there. We're putting stripes on the game stripes on the floor over there, so it's coming along well. Corcoran, exterior windows installation's been advancing there on the north elevation to B. The classroom renovations are in B wing anyway are nearing completion. We are going to had a little bit of a conversation over there this week, and given that the limited occupancy in the building in the B area, we are going to delay occupancy of some of those spaces to allow us to continue to advance some of the work in there and hopefully reduce some of the summer workload that's over there. So just as a product of where we are in terms of occupancy and folks in the building, which is a good thing. Not a good thing that we're not in there, but it's a good thing that we can taking an opportunity to use that time wisely. Henniger, we continue to advance work over there on the addition. It's coming along really well. We're close to having the roof completed, which would give us a nice dried-in space to advance work throughout January and February on the inside of the building, which is a nice milestone to have. And at Nottingham, we're advancing. Everything is moving forward over there. The library is nearing completion. The entry and the security area finishes are underway, and there's actually a picture in the report which kind of gives you, it's a small picture, but it does give you it's really a neat transformation over there in the lobby with the finishes there, and kind of reused. There was some dome features up above the existing ceiling that were able to be incorporated into the new design. So it's kind of neat looking, coming together well, and the library is impressive as well. So that's, and then at Clary, we're kind of in put back mode over there is what I would call that. We've, in terms of the demo and the abatement, and now we're starting to move back into the reconstruction mode over there. Danforth, again, moving along with all the interiors over there. If you drove by, you would see some differences in terms of some of the new windows that are going in over there, and pretty interesting transformation that's happening in the gymnasium over there, where we're cutting out the top portion of that and putting some windows in there to get some natural light into that gym. So moving along well with that. And then underneath our constraints or critical issues, I just touch on change management. We spoke on that briefly before, and happy to report that, given some focused efforts there, we've been able to improve the efficiency of that process a little bit, and hopefully we can continue to maintain that in terms of processing change and moving them through. That is about everything I have for this morning. Any questions?
Any other questions for Chris?
Okay.
All right. Thanks for the update.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, we're going to go back to Donna for our report on our financial statements, and I will pull those up momentarily.
Okay, good morning, everybody.
Morning.
We're going to start down on page 5, Mayor, when you get there.
I'm there.
Okay, and we're looking here at the statement of net position. And at the end of October, we have a total of $119 million of both phase 1 and phase 2 cash. Compared to September, the cash did decrease by $5.8 million. And that was due to vendor payments of $9.4 million, and $3,000 in investment income came in. And there was also a transfer in of $3.6 million from the district, which was to be used for debt service payments as we agreed upon during the series of 2020B bond issuance. Also included in the assets is the total capital assets of $301 million, and that represents all the activity up to 6/30/20. The total liabilities at the close of October is $368 million, and that includes bonds and premiums payable for both Phase 1 and Phase 2 projects. So at the end of October, the unaudited total net position is $52.3 million. And I'm going to move on to page 6. And page 6 shows our statement of sources and expenditures. So for Phase 1, there is no activity currently. Phase 2, since July 1 to present, we have earned $13,865 in investment income, and our total vendor payments are currently at $29.5 million. And the next page is our cash flow statement. And our cash flow statement shows all of the actual expenditures and income from July 1 to the end of October. And the actual figures, the projected figures are from November to June. You'll notice there that I just want to explain a little bit that $3.6 million coming in from the district. That was agreed upon during the 2020B borrowing in March of 2020. And at that time, that was pre-COVID. At the time, the district had money in fund balance for capital projects and was able to contribute and agreed to contribute money towards debt service to make the interest payments, so we didn't have to borrow it, which in turn gave the JSCB the ability to put more money into bricks and mortar. So that's why you see that there, and that money will be used for debt service payments in November and May. So as I said before, our total, you'll see there at the bottom, our total is $9.4 million in payments. And that will leave us with a total of about $65 million at the end of June. And then on the last page, we have our inception to date. No changes in the Phase 1 sources and uses. Phase 2, our total is $292 million in sources, and our total expenditures currently are at $183.2 million. And that concludes my report. Does anybody have questions?
Any questions for Donna? Okay,
Thank
thanks,
you.
Donna.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Last up, looks like we just have one resolution, Joe.
Yes, correct, Mayor. We have the one resolution number 74 to make our monthly contractor payments.
We have a motion? Okay. For a second.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. All right, Joe, any other business to come before the board?
No, I do not believe so. I think we're all set for today.
Okay, anybody else? Otherwise, a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, thanks, everybody. Happy holidays.
Have a good
Stay
day.
safe.
Here, guys.